Hello everyone and welcome to episode 88 of Muscle Asylum Radio and our 6th instalment of Muscle Asylum TV. We are joined by a regular crew, the Fat Leb, Jimmy Sadek, the gift Mick Galley, and all the way from overseas. We have Mr. Redcon1, Aaron Singerman, and the newest Redcon1 sponsored athlete and competitor at the Arnold Classic, Luke Sandoe. How are you, boys?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to tell you straight up, it's a very hot day over here in Australia. It's probably the hottest day on earth. We're at 45 degrees Celsius, and that's not even an exaggeration. I could take you outside, but the computer will literally melt. Yeah.
How hot is that? I don't know.
It's hot as fuck, eh? It's what? This is a second heat wave in a row. So we had a big 10-day heat wave over Christmas. Then we got storms from hell. Golf balls, tennis ball size hailstones, and now the second heat wave come through, which is hotter than the first.
Well, yeah.
So poor Marks in Penrith, which is, if you don't know where Penrith is, Luke, it's probably the biggest shithole on the face.
It's not. It's like if you're gonna compare it to anywhere in, say, the US, you'd say it's Bel Air, basically. Yeah. But it is the hottest place on earth here. But I did wear
113 degrees. I checked. That's hot.
That's Fahrenheit. There you go. Yeah.
What's it stay in Florida, Aaron?
Right now we're in the depth of winter. It's 64 degrees. 64 degrees outside. Pretty nice. This is like our nice season. So in Florida, in the summer it's never 113 degrees, but it's pretty damn hot and it's very humid. But in the winter, that's when we call snowbirds. So up north, we have all these people that live up north, like in New Jersey, New York, and I don't really know how it works, but wealthy people come and move here during the winter because it's so nice here during the winter, and they avoid the winter up there. I don't really know how that works financially for people to not be at work for 4 or 5 months out of the year, or how they work here, but there's this huge influx of 30,000-40,000 people into Boca. Where they come in just for 5 months out of the year, and then they go back to New York. So we have these snowbirds.
The weather here today was like the summer back home for me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Where are you from originally, for people that don't know, Luke?
Well, I'm from the UK, so I still live there. I'm actually flying home tomorrow. So I live just outside of London. So, the summer for me, we talk like 28 degrees is as hot as it gets. That's like 90 degrees in American heat. Yeah. So, it's not that hot, but today was really warm for me anyway.
We sound like we're on our first date, like making small talk, talking about the weather. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Luke, I know that you're a massive Marvel fan. And look, are you a Marvel or a DC fan? I know I'm probably going to get a lot of viewers that's just going to switch off now because they think we're going to talk comic books.
I have no preference. Currently, the Marvel comics are pretty bad, and DC are better comic books. But I think Marvel are winning in the movies, apart from maybe Aquaman's turn the tide a little bit for me.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't really have a preference. It depends on the character, I guess.
I just did want to make mention that I'm a massive fan, so I did wear my Thanos shirt for you today.
Luke,
and shut up, Timmy. I'm talking. No, and I've got my Thanos bobblehead too. So we'll just keep him here in the background so you can see.
He's only talking about Thanos, mate, because people used to say he looked like Phil Heath, but Phil Heath lost. So the Avengers came out, and now he thinks he looks like Thanos.
I don't think I look like Thanos. A kid at school said I look. It's the beard. It's the beard.
Hey, Aaron, as we've only got you for a little bit of time, I just wanted to say congrats on, was it top 6 or top 9 in bodybuilding.com?
So it is top 9. They have 9 brands up there on the front page. And I don't really know where – I asked them recently, what number are we? Because it looks like if you look on the thing that we're number 8, but I don't know what – and they said they were going to check with analytics and get back to me. But, it's a big deal. Unfortunately, bodybuilding.com is not as big a deal as it used to be because of Amazon and all the other e-retailers. But it's still pretty damn cool to be on the front page of bodybuilding.com.
Yeah. Well, Redcon's bigger and bigger, mate. And I know in Australia it's gaining momentum. Is there anything you can tell us about this year, like any products that may be coming out or any new sponsorships? Any guys are you looking at?
I'm really not looking at any particular guys. Luke, I had been talking to and interested in for a while. He was just with another company, and so we had to wait out that contract and kind of figure stuff out. But I've been interested in having Luke on the team for a while. I mean, we had talked for probably a year before it ended up working out. But I never right now, it's like when things happen, it's like for athletes, it's just the right person at the right time. So I haven't actually looked for anybody for a while, probably not for a year. It's just like somebody comes up, like Blessing was totally by accident. He came up at the Olympia, and I was like, oh, you're the funny guy. You know, I was like, I didn't even know he was a pro bodybuilder. I just thought, you're the funny guy. And he came up and said, hey, man, I really like your marketing. And we shook hands, and he walked off. And then I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours later, I something came to me or whatever, and I looked at his Instagram and followed him, and I watched all his stuff, and I was like, "Ooh, he's really funny. He's creative and funny." And I had no idea, and I reached out to him right after, saying, "Hey, man, what's up? Are you with the supplement company?" And that was the beginning, but it was just by happenstance. But in terms of products, we have the BAR coming out, the Breakfast at the Ready, which is the new bar. Totally different than the Emery bar, which is obviously with the beef, chicken, salmon, and eggs, the whole food. This is whey protein based, and it's real cereal pieces from, I don't know if you have them, which cereals you have in Australia, but Fruity Pebbles, do you have?
Nah, we're not lucky enough like you guys.
We don't have
Fruity Pebbles.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Yeah.
No Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No.
Oh, shit. Lucky Charms?
Nope.
Nah. We got
Holy shit.
We don't have Lucky Charms. I'm guessing that has a little leprechaun on the front.
Yeah, you know what Lucky Charms are.
Captain Crunch and all those things.
We don't have them. Look, we've all been.
Then we're really going to be a hit. Holy shit.
Nah, look, we've all been to the States.
Amazing.
We've all been to the States, and I think everyone here knows what they are, but we just can't get them here. We have to go to some sort of special American style lolly store here. That's to find anything like that. But yeah.
They charge us about $45 a box.
Yeah.
What Aaron, back to Luke. What appealed you to Luke?
He just said what appealed
did
him.
he pop up on the radar? No.
Yeah.
What did he say?
I'm interested in this answer.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. So a few things, and some of the things are similar actually to Dallas McCarver. Is that Luke is a young guy. Luke did not have any or very little utilization in the past. So the companies that he's been with or whatever really didn't utilize him in any way. So people haven't seen that much of Luke. So he's still people are still discovering who he is. And another big thing is that I think he has a lot of potential in bodybuilding as a competitor. So I saw him early on. I said, this guy has a lot of potential, but he's not there yet. He's on the way to that. So it's like a blue chip stock. If I can get somebody like Luke, if I can get Luke on the team when he is on the come up versus somebody who is already at the top or towards the top, a lot of those, I feel like because he's younger and because of all these factors I said, there's a real opportunity to make Luke a real integral part of the team versus getting somebody, because we talked about a little bit. Let's say I would have taken on Sean Roden. So I've talked to Sean Roden back to time. Sean Roden's already a thing, right? He's already an established personality. Everybody knows him. He's been covered some, not that much actually in his case, but so you bring him onto the team and now Sean Roden has joined Redcon1, whereas Luke is kind of still being developed. He's still being formed. So he can come on to Redcon1 and be part of Redcon1. It's not like I'm bringing on this other thing that's now going to be next to Redcon1. It's a thing that can kind of go together. And then the other big thing, which was appealing about Dallas, was that he is functional. So he is strong. He can do stuff in the gym that other people can't. When he trains, he's hardcore. He's training, to failure with heavy weights versus a Phil Heath, who doesn't really want to show a whole lot in the gym. There's not a lot of content to put out. He's not super strong. He's not, he's genetically very, very blessed. He can go in and do some little pumps and boom, he's huge, right? So all of those things I think are important and drew me to the potential of signing Luke because I know he's going to be a big deal and because he is still on the way up and needs developing. So hopefully we can play a role in letting everybody know how good Luke is and is going to be, and we can have a long-lasting partnership for his entire career. That would be the goal for me.
So similar type videos. Sorry, guys. Similar type videos to Dallas. You follow him around a bit, in and out of the gym, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, for him, yeah. I mean, I would love the one big advantage we have with Dallas that we're not going to have with Luke, unfortunately, is he's not going to be here every day. I mean, Luke's has now experienced what we have going on here, and what we have here in Boca is extremely unique. But we're going to do our best to find people, and I know he's got some people that he already works with for his site for Brutal Muscle, and some friends of his. I know there's like Rebecca over there who does a lot of videos. There's a lot of people that he knows that he's already connected with to get that kind of content there. So the only downside is for Luke is that he is kind of responsible for helping us make it happen, because if like a Blessing has moved to Boca, I can almost like force the content. And there was a lot of times with Dallas that's what I did. I'd be like, no, they're going to come to the gym with you. You know what I mean? Because he'd be like, I'm dieting, I don't want to do it. And I'd be like, just do your training and they're going to follow you. And it would happen. But if he had to call the person up and say, hey, come meet me at this time, it wouldn't have happened, right? So Luke is responsible for doing that. The good thing is Luke's already has a business where that's part of the business. Yeah. So for another bodybuilder who is just wanting to fucking win the Olympia and that's the priority, they're going to be like, I don't want somebody filming me. I'm not going to wait for somebody to get there. If they're late, I'm not waiting, and it's it would be tough otherwise. So.
Aaron, sorry, mate. Yeah, go on.
I actually find for me that what you just said actually works better for me, because I'm in my own environment, my own house, my own gym, my own country. So I can do my thing and I can show everyone what my thing is, what I do at home. And so, because I have like Rebecca, as Aaron said, she does content with me every month. She sends the files over to the guys in the office. They edit it, they put it out. So it actually works very well, because I can get content done every day of the week if I needed to. I can get as much done as possible. But the fans, or whatever you want to call them, the viewers, they can see how it really is, like what I do in my own house, where I go to my own gym to train, and like none of I haven't had to move away from my own environment to film these things. So I think people get to see a little bit more the real side of what goes into what I do.
Yeah, and the content's always more organic that way too. I think people realise that, and if it's too staged, it's just going to become one of those videos where the same cliche video, you're walking into the gym slow motion, holding your gym bag and putting your thing down, pulling out your shaker, drinking, like it's just the same bullshit over and over again. But doing your thing in your own country, it's going to be cool. We're going to get stuck into the questions a little bit here, because we try and keep these down to an hour. All right, Luke, when we first saw you here in Australia, me and Gally were actually doing the interviews backstage at the Arnold's, and we would try to approach Rolly. Rolly looked like he was in the zone and didn't really want to talk, and there was William Bonac, who had his gold teeth, so we said, fuck that dude, we're not going to go and talk to him. He looks way too scary. And then you walked past, and we were like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, you were just this big human monster of a dude, and literally you had your shirt on, and we were like, he's a competitor for sure. And then we looked down the list, Gally? We looked down the list, and we're like,
try to find it.
There's three names that we don't recognise here, and you were obviously one of them. We were like, look, we could go there, we could pick a name off the list and go there and approach him and just ask for an interview. But neither of us had the guts to do that, because you were way too fucking big to walk up to you and get the wrong name, you know what I mean? So, look, but we all know who you are now.
We both felt like idiots, didn't we, a few weeks later when we found out? And then,
no, but look,
you're kicking yourselves.
Yeah, 100%. But look, everyone in Australia knows who you are. You made a big impact on that show, and that was your first Arnold Classic in Australia. What was your overall experience of the Arnold Classic in Australia, the country, the fans, and the competitors backstage?
It was phenomenal, to be honest. I mean, I went there Tony offered me, in fact, I didn't know I was even doing the show until the list came out and I saw my name on it. So I got tagged in it in Instagram. I was like, I'm doing the Arnold Classic Australia. So I texted Chris.
Is that just Tony wheeling and dealing the way he does?
Yeah. Tony put my name on the list and he spelled my name wrong, and I was like, well, I assume that's probably me. So then I got the invite through, and I texted Cito, and I was like, do you think I've got enough time to do this? And he was like, well, yeah, the focus is still the Indeed Pro, which was 2 weeks after, but let's just do the show. You'll be better than you've ever been, and it'll be some good exposure. So I wasn't really planning on doing the show at 100%. It was more, which is a stupid thing to say, because I didn't want to change the way I was doing the prep. So when I got there, I expected no one to know who I was, to just turn up and just do pretty well.
You're pretty right there.
I remember there was the athlete meet and greet, which I think was on the Thursday before the show.
Yeah.
And I had like 50 people in a line waiting for me. And the way Tony looked after us all, I've never been to a show where I've been looked after that well and had such a good response from people. So it was a bit of an eye opener for me. So and I was the only guy there with no merch. I had no pictures to sign or whatever. I didn't think anyone cared. So but yeah, the Australians, you guys certainly made me feel welcome, and I can't wait to go back. So.
Was that your first time in Australia?
Yeah.
Did you get to see any of it outside of the show, or did you head straight back?
No, okay, so I stayed out there 3 days after the show because I wanted to see some of Melbourne, and then I'm getting the worst flu I've ever had in my life. So literally I got off stage, I went home, I ate some food, and I was in bed for 3 days.
Oh man,
I was so ill, and so I didn't get to see any of it. So hopefully this year I'll get to see some of it a bit more.
And bring heaps of merchandise with you this year too.
Yeah, I'm bringing t-shirts and some pictures with me. So yeah, that was an error.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, bring a lot. Australians are sick for shirts.
You
sell out. Whatever you bring, you'll sell.
Yeah.
You've definitely your momentum's been massive from last year with your fan base. A lot of people I've seen on social media have been comparing you a little bit to Dorian Yates in a certain way. How do you feel about that? That's a pretty. Yeah.
It's really nice to hear, but the problem is when you get compared to someone like Dorian, who's in my opinion, probably one of the best of all time. Yeah. Everyone loves to shit all over you for that, as if I'm the one that said it. And I haven't ever said I'm like Dorian. So everyone's like, so there's loads of people that have done these YouTube videos saying, oh, he's the next Dorian Yates. And everyone's like, no, fuck this guy. He's nothing like Dorian. He's shit. Dorian says he's got no back. He's got no calves. He's shit. And but in the same time, the more and more people are saying it in a positive way now. So it just spurs me on. I mean, to be compared to the best of all time from my country as well. You know, I don't pretend. I don't say myself I don't like him, but it's quite a nice compliment.
Was he someone you looked up to as you were coming up the ranks?
Oh yeah. I mean, like he's called the Shadow, but in the UK, everyone is in his shadow. So it's so he set the sound. This is why us Brits, we train harder than everyone else. And that's like every time I come to the US, I'm like, so it's
he trained with me, so I mean.
Actually, we had Ben Pulowski on our show a couple of weeks back, and he said there's probably 4 guys he knows that actually trains hard. He didn't name them. How do you feel about comments like that?
Yeah, well, I think he's probably right, you know. But like in the UK, like because we've all been brought up around Dorian and the way he trained. If you look at a lot of the upcoming British bodybuilders now, like myself, James Hollingshead, look at the way we all train, and we're all really strong. And that's not because genetically we are. It's just that's the way we've had it put into our heads, and that's how you need to grow. And all that, and that level of density that Dorian had. The reason people compare me to that is just because my training style is the same. So I've kind of earned that density that Dorian had. And it's just down to the training. It's as simple as that. It's just, you just got to train hard. And I think that's something that's missing in bodybuilding these days. Like Aaron mentioned, Phil Heath, he's as great as he is. He doesn't have that rugged density. And a lot of Olympians are missing that. And that's something, as a personal goal for me, that's something I want to bring back to bodybuilding. It's the muscle that's earned through lifting heavy steel, not just pumping on a machine. So when people say to me, "Oh, you have that look of Dorian," it's like, "Oh, well, at least I'm doing it right." So that's quite nice.
Positive. Yeah. I saw some pictures you put up too. You as well, Aaron, training in Flex's gym over the last week or so. Which there's some great photos. Unreal. How do you find training in a place like that? Because it looks like a state of the art setup.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good in there. I mean, I just trained there about 20 minutes ago. There was no one in there. Just me and the cameraman. It was great. It's the music on that I wanted, and it was just, even though there was no one in there, it just has this vibe, this atmosphere in there.
How has he got it? How has he got it set up, Luke? So Aaron, you bring all the pros into town, whatever. Does he just throw you the keys, pretty much, or is it? I
have to pay for it. I have to pay for it. Yeah, but, I mean, so he does after I pay. He does. Yeah.
So he lets anyone join, or just the pro bodybuilders, amateurs?
So Flex is extremely selective, like to like an extreme, like borderline crazy degree of who he lets into the gym. So no, there's no way to buy a membership. I mean, I can't even bring in my employees from here. Only a very select few are allowed in the gym that he's been friends with for a long time. So it's extremely hard to get an invitation. I have people ask me regularly, "Hey, can you get me into Flex's gym?" And the answer is unfortunately always no. Even with like Luke and stuff, he texted me before he saw, I guess Luke was coming, or maybe you texted him or something, and he's like, Luke's coming to my gym? I'm like, yes, he's coming to your gym. He's like, I have to show him around first before he gets to go in there. I want to show him around.
I can imagine him walking around like a hall monitor.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure Luke's wearing a towel and
the plates,
are you re-racking your
plates
weights?
cannot mix. You cannot mix the plates. Everything has to be in a today's rule.
Oh,
yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah.
The gym is immaculate.
Yeah, immaculate.
There's not a speck of dust.
No, he is. Yeah, he watches the cameras. He'll be like, I saw you. You parked in the owner's parking. That's the owner's parking.
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Or if the plate is touching, like if the steel plate is touching the rubber plate, he'll zoom in, on his phone and be like, the plate is on the wrong side.
Do you know what though? When someone
you'll just hear this Welsh voice out of nowhere.
Yeah. Move the plate.
When someone has that bad an OCD, I think someone with Luke's personality would love to just fuck with his head a little bit, just to.
If Luke fucked with his head, he'd be kicked out of there like that. Trust me. Oh, yeah.
Listen,
don't worry, don't beat him.
I know, Aaron, that you've got to take off in a few minutes, so I'm just going to ask Luke, what drew you to Redcon1 and what made you choose Redcon1 as a company to represent?
Well, I mean, Aaron and I, as you said, we've been speaking for a while, and I was a huge fan of Dallas. I loved what they were doing with him. The products are phenomenal. The marketing is the best in the whole industry, like, bar none. Everyone that Aaron brings on, you see more of them than any other brand. The branding's perfect. The content you put out is just second to none.
Thanks.
And for me, I wanted to, as Aaron said, I wanted to be part of something. I didn't want to just be a number on the spreadsheet, and because we only get one shot at this career. So I've wasted my time in the past with companies that are good companies, they're great companies, but they don't have the marketing expertise that Aaron and his team have. And that's a huge deal. I mean, it seems quite silly to put all this time and effort into your training and your social media and trying to build a brand, and you're just not being used. So when I came over to Redcon, it was like, it was almost like I can actually do my job properly now. And he's given me the opportunity to, this is now my job. This is now something I can dedicate my life to 100%. Whereas in the past, I've always been a bit like, I don't know where I am. I don't quite know what I'm doing. So now I'm a professional bodybuilder for the first time in my life. And that's all thanks to Aaron and the team. So, Redcon, I mean, there's no other brand on the planet doing what Redcon are doing. And I wanted to be a part of it ever since I saw the brand appear. Even, in fact, when you first started, I ordered one of the zip-up black hoodie. As soon as Redcon launched, I ordered a hoodie.
He did. He has one of the original hoodies.
I have the original hoodie.
Because, yeah.
They're cool. And it stinks.
And it stinks. I bet you never let you wear that into his gym either.
It got hung up in my wardrobe for about a year when I was with another company. And as soon as Aaron was like, we want to bring you on board, I was like, Redcon hoodie back. And it's nice. It's amazing. There's a sense of pride wearing the Redcon logo in the gym and knowing that you're part of the brand. And I think that's hugely important. You have to be proud of who you represent, and I'm certainly proud to represent Redcon1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that must make you happy, Aaron, to hear that.
Very good. It is very nice.
Are you planning any Olympia parties this year too? Because Gully's going to be living there. I'm going to be there for the Olympia this year.
Yeah.
Are you planning any Olympia parties at a little house at the back of Vegas again, or what?
Oh, at the house. Yeah, he's been to the house. Me and PJ back in the day got this house. So we brought all the employees and we had this big party at the house, and I got a little too intoxicated, to say the least. We may do something. We're not going to do a house party because the house thing, it sounded like a good idea, but it was so far off the strip. I don't know if you remember. It was like 25 minutes to get there, so it was like. Also, I found that the idea of a party like that sounds great, but to get the people that commit to go to actually be there, we had a great time, but how many people you think were at that party? Maybe 60, 50?
Yeah, about that. You had a great time. I know.
I had a great time. Yeah, but I had like 250 people say they're coming. So because it's a long way, so it's a commitment. But what we usually do is we go to XS after the Olympia. So I get big tables at XS, and you have to hit me up, and I'll get you guys in. we'll have some drinks. Not too much drinks.
We'll definitely.
I'm going to let you guys have Luke. I'm going to run off. I have some marketing stuff to do. It's 6 o'clock here, and my marketing director is probably very upset I'm taking so long. So I'm going to let him jump in here, and I'm going to get ready for our big deal tomorrow. Okay, guys?
All right, thanks, Aaron, and we'll chat again soon. All right, Luke.
Yes.
Let's get you closer to that mic.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't sound like you're sitting in the back room in a toilet somewhere.
All right, can I ask the first question?
All right, you go first, Jimmy.
All right, look, I watched a few of your videos this week on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And where you're very different to Australians, especially Australian pro bodybuilders or amateurs, is that a lot of Australians won't understand, but you got to tell us why you keep only 2 trophies on your trophy cabinet. The two last place trophies. So usually over in Australia, the guys will make big trophy cabinets like Jay Cutler has, and just jam pack every first place they have ever had. Yep. You don't showcase none of that, only the 2 last places.
No, I have from 2015, which was the British finals I did before I won my pro card. I got 6th place, and I kept that. And I kept the qualifier trophy I had that day. It's the only time I've come second in a qualifier ever. And it's only, I feel quite stupid saying this, it's just the trophy base and the feet. Because I was so fucked off after I got off stage. I didn't throw it. I just chucked it on the floor and I just kind of threw it because I wasn't pissed off at my placing. I was pissed off at myself. The trophy was just made of chalk or something.
So you're one of those guys that slams the trophy backstage. So I am there.
So I kept that and I have them, and they're like a reminder for me of how far I've come. In fact, I don't even know where my trophies are.
A bit like you, Gally.
Yeah.
Or all in storage somewhere.
Yeah, mine are somewhere. They might be in the attic or something. I'm not sure.
I know.
But those 2 trophies are like a reminder to me of, don't get too complacent, because as good as you think you are, if you fuck it up, you're gonna fuck it up, and this is proof. So I keep those on in the cabinet on the side in my house, and every day I come down and I kind of look at them. I'm just like, you fuck off.
Hey, tell us a little bit about the Luke Sandoe story and how you got into bodybuilding and that road that led you to achieving your pro card.
It's a pretty simple story. I mean, when I think I was 21, 22 when I started training. So I've just turned 30 now. So it was about 8 years ago I probably started training. And I played drums before that. And I started, I wouldn't say dieting, I just stopped eating like a pig. Because whenever I was on tour, I would just eat shit all the time. And I was getting a bit podgy. So I thought, I want to look good in clothes. And that was my first goal, was to look good in clothes. So I basically ate nothing but carrots and tuna for about 3 or 4 months. And as lean as I was getting, I wasn't getting smaller. I couldn't lose any size. I was just still big. I joined the gym. And then when I stopped the music, I thought, in my head, I was like, I want to be a pro bodybuilder. Because I've always been drawn to muscle, because I've always been into comic books, as we talked about. So fast forward to 2012. I thought I spent about 6 months getting fat, trying to put on as much size as possible, and that was a proper bulk. I was like a Lee Priest level, I was fat.
How heavy did you get?
I was about 125, 130 kilos. So I went up from 90. I put on about 50 kilos in 6 months. I was pretty fat. And then New Year's Day, 2012, I started my contest prep. No idea what I was doing. I worked on my own, and I did a show, which at the time was the UK BFF, which was the road you would take to get the pro card at the time.
Yep.
And I did a show as a junior. I won it, and I had this kind of big media circus around me after that show, because I was the biggest in the show. I'd never competed before. I didn't know what to expect, and I nearly won the overall. And I qualified for the British finals that year, and then I hired a coach, and I got second in a men's class. So I competed as a junior. I won it, and then I turned 24 in August, and the finals were in October, so I had to do a men's class. And I ended up getting second place in the men's class, and I was just hooked from that point. And I had so many people in my ear, if you keep doing this, you can be pro. You can really take this all the way. and I'd already caught the bug, so I was just stuck. I had a couple of shit years where I was trying to figure out how to do it because I was still a beginner. I was a beginner, but I was at the top of the British level.
Yeah.
And I'd only been training for about 18 months. So, you know, most bodybuilders have that like 3 or 4 years where they have no fucking clue what they're doing. And then they gradually work their way up the ranks. I was already like thrust into that spotlight like straight away in terms of the amateur scene in the UK. So I did the British finals about 3 years in a row. Never quite getting it right, always looking bad. And then 2015, I had the worst year ever. I got second in a qualifier, which was just embarrassing because the person that beat me had never beaten me before. And he's a great bodybuilder, but it was like to come second in when I was that year, it was, oh, you can turn pro. And then I get second in a qualifier. And I was just, and then I thought, and then I went into the finals. I got 6th place in 2015. And I remember saying to somebody afterwards, I think it was actually, I said to Giles Thomas, who works, you know Giles, who works for MD? He's the online editor.
Yeah.
So I said to Giles afterwards, I was like, I'm going to come back and win this whole show next year. Like, watch. And he was like, all right, mate, I'm sure you will. Like, no one quite believed it. Everyone was just like, yeah, all right, whatever. So I dedicated the entire year. And I came back the following year, going from 6th place to coming back the following year and winning the overall.
Beautiful.
And taking the pro card. So, and that was an amazing thing. I was just so focused for the whole year. It kind of burned me out a little bit as well because I put so much into it. And then I was planning on having some time off. And then about a month afterwards, I went on vacation. I went on holiday with my girlfriend at the time, all you can eat in Mexico. So I got a bit fat again. And then I had an email from Ed Connors. You probably all know who Ed Connors is. Yeah. His gym. You know, he's responsible for a lot of WWE wrestlers, a lot of bodybuilders getting their break. And he was like, you should do the Arnold Classic. And I was like, no one my level does the Arnold Classic. I've never competed before. I'm from the UK. No one cares. And he was like, no, I'll put in a good word for you. And I was like, okay. And I was planning on having like a good 6 months off because I wanted to just kind of like get my life back together. And then I got an Arnold invite. So I went straight back into a contest prep. My body was not ready for this at all. And then I had another bad year. So I had terrible at the Arnold, my pro debut. And then I was like, I looked bad, so I want some like retribution. So I tried to do another show that year, and it looked even worse. And then I had a pretty bad year. So that would be 2017. And then last year was actually pretty good, apart from the final show. So I did the Australia, where I got 6th. And then I did the Indie Pro 2 weeks after, where I got 3rd. And everyone in the top 6 of that show, apart from me, all qualified for the Olympia last year. So I was right on the cusp. So that's pretty much takes us up to present day. I did the California Pro last year, where I actually ended up pulling out after prejudging, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a minute. And then now 2019, it's 2019, isn't it? It's 2019. Yes, now I'm just, and now I'm 5.5 weeks out from the Arnold, Ohio, and what is this, 7.5 weeks out from Australia?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So where do you see yourself faring against the likes of Josh Lionowitz and Rolly Winkler, all the boys competing at the Arnold? And we'll talk about the Arnold Australia because we want to promote the one here as much as we possibly can. Where do you see yourself placing in comparison to where you placed last year? Because I think you placed just ahead of Sam Pearce, I think it was last year. Yeah.
And Sam, great. And Sam's looking really big at the moment as well. He looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what Sam brings this year. Well, I got top 6, looking about 80% what I should have. Because Asito and I didn't really push to peak for that show. I just kind of landed off the plane, trained normally, didn't really carb up, didn't really do anything with my water, just stepped on stage, and then went back to the diet to carry on for Indy. So this time we're actually going to try and peak, so to speak. And I know I can get top 6 again, and I'm planning on getting top 6 in Columbus, Ohio as well. So I want to beat my 6th place this year. I want to try and get, I think for the Arnold Australia, looking at the lineup, I think I can get 3rd or 4th. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
You know, if I nail it, I think there's maybe on both lists, I think there's 2 or 3 people I can't beat yet. I know I can't beat. They're just too good. But a couple of years I think I can, but for now I don't think I can beat Rulli. I don't think I can beat Bonac. I doubt I can beat Brandon Curry. And the reason I haven't said I don't think I can beat Josh is because I think I look more like Josh than the other three, because we're both like
both mass monsters. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think we both have similar. He might be bigger than me, but I think my structure's slightly better. Like just in terms of my lines, because he's just a freak. So at the Arnold, that might do well, because I'll be like 255, 260 on stage hitting a vacuum, which I think Arnold will like. But Josh will probably be about 290 shredded, I would imagine.
What's your height? You're 5'7"?
I'm at 5'8".
Yeah. So that's some serious muscle on that frame. Just looking at you now, like you look really good now. How does your prep compare now to, say, last year? And I didn't know this till Aaron mentioned it before. Yeah. Obviously, bodybuilding's more full-time now, so that would have to play a real sort of, a lot better role, I guess, now. My whole mindset is completely different now. So just to rewind to California last year, a lot of people know what happened. So to cut a long story short, I nearly died. I was sick the last couple of days during the drying out process. I ended up being admitted to the hospital. I had to pull out the show. I had some severe dehydration issues because I was vomiting a lot, because I'm pretty sure I had food poisoning on top of trying to dry out. And then I couldn't get any fluids back in. I kept being sick. I didn't really tell Chris any of this. I was like, I'm fine. Let's keep going. I ended up being in hospital, and I was told that had I not gone into hospital, I would have 100% would have died in the night. And hearing that kind of thing, it put me back a little bit mentally. I was like, this isn't worth it. This is fucking stupid. So I had a few months to kind of regroup. And then when I signed with Redcon, it was just like, I'd been given this opportunity, like this second chance, and I have people like Aaron who believe in me. Yeah. I've got a lot of people in this industry have said some really promising things about me, about where I can possibly go with this. And I just thought, well, I've been given this opportunity now where I can do this full time. I don't have to worry or think about anything else. I don't want to get to like 50, 60 years old and be like, I could have done that better. I could have done more. So my mindset now is every single day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, I make sure everything has been done to the best of my ability that day, every single day, as best I can. And I have not skipped a beat this entire prep. In fact, Neil Hill and Flex had a look at me Monday when I landed. I landed about 6 hours before, and Neil was like, let's have a look at you then. And I stripped down, and Neil just went, fuck, man, you look amazing. Look, like you said, that, and he's like, this is dangerous for other people. You can see Neil is so brutally honest. If you look bad, Neil will just be like, you look shit, mate. You need to sort yourself out. And he just said, you're right on track. Don't fuck it up. And to hear that.
Is he prepping you, or?
No, he's not. He just wanted to have a look at me because he's from the UK as well. He's been in my corner since I actually won the overall at his show. The year I turned pro, my qualifier was his show in Wales, and I just won the overall from his show. So he's always been very supportive. I've known Flex for a number of years now, and they both just wanted to, just out of curiosity, say hi, look. And they both gave me nothing but positive feedback. Chris has been phenomenal this time as well. Not that he wasn't before. And just my mindset's different. It's hard to explain, because I thought before I was doing everything right. But when something bad happens to you, you learn how to step things up a notch. My training's been phenomenal. I'm injury-free. I've been paying more attention to my soft tissue work. I'm just paying attention to the details. Like little things like in the past, like I'd put a little bit of ketchup on my meals and think, it doesn't matter, just a bit of ketchup. And now I'm like, no fucking ketchup, just salt and pepper. Everything's much more regimented. I like when I came here, they're like, this is the schedule for the filming for next week. So the Redcon guys, they sent me my schedule, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I've got to train at 2 o'clock. And they're like, we need to film. I was like, I don't give a shit. We need to film. I need to train at 2 o'clock. My diet is set up for me to train at 2 o'clock. So they moved all the schedule around. Where in the past, I would have been like, yeah, I'll train at any time. It doesn't really matter. But for me, if I make every day the same, then I'm just going to keep getting, there's that consistency there. And it's just played, out so well. And looking at my pictures I took some yesterday morning, my pictures look now how I looked when I landed in Australia for the Arnold in Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say you look like you're in similar condition. Yeah.
I'm about 18 pounds heavier.
Yeah. So you put on some more size.
It's been so easy, just because it's been like, I've had a high carb day today. Tomorrow I get 2 burgers. I haven't done cardio for 4 days. And I'm a bit like, Chris, like, is this right? He's like, yeah, cool, man. You just keep going. Yeah, it's fine. And it's like, because everything is firing on all cylinders. And that's all just been in my control. So everything I have control of, I make sure it's done to 100%. And that's due to Aaron giving me this opportunity.
What did you used to do for work before you were like in the position you are now as a full-time bodybuilder? What did you used to do for work?
I train people full-time and coach. I still coach online now, and I still have the occasional client I train in person, just because they're doing really well and I enjoy training them. We've got a kind of rapport. And I was doing that full-time, and now I just don't need to. And it's like my personal life is better. Like my girlfriend's just moved in with me. We live in a nice house, and it's just like my personal life is all in order. And there's that, so I have her to help me. I've never had a girlfriend that's actually been there to help me.
Makes a massive difference, huh? Yeah.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah. She's amazing. She's just like, she's like, I'll cook your food for you if you need it. And I haven't needed her to, but I know if I'm really struggling, she'll help me.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, I've never had that support network at home. And I've just started training at a new gym because there's a new gym that's open about 30 minutes from my house. And it's probably the best gym I've ever been to. And it's owned by a bodybuilder. He spent probably 1.2 million on this place, making it just unbelievable. And it's just the perfect environment for bodybuilding, the best equipment. And it's just everything's just lined up really well. And I'm taking advantage of every single positive in my life as best I can. So,
I'm going to sound like a little bit of an equipment nerd here, but you guys train with a lot of Watsons over there?
Because I fucking hate Watson.
Oh, really?
Like, no offense to the guys that own Watson. Like, whoever's designing these equipment doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Oh, okay.
It's shit. I don't like it at all. You either have to be a midget or a dwarf. You know, we're all
That's why you like it, Mark.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm the same height as Luke. Hey, listen to these guys.
Yeah, you have to be a midget or 7 foot tall for the machines to work. They're just shit. Like, then for me personally, they're just bad. Like, they're like, for my mechanics, I haven't used a single machine of theirs that I like.
Yeah.
So the gym I have is...
Are you stocking in with that, Mark?
Say that again. I was literally about to make a Watson's order and ask him what his recommendations were.
The Watson dumbbells are really good, though.
Well, I just ordered the dumbbells, so I've got the dumbbells and the barbells so far, but that's all I've got.
The cable equipment's really good, but their actual machines, I just don't like them. They're really well built, and I know a lot of people that love them. Just for me personally, I can't do it. I just hate the machines. They just feel awful. So the gym that I train at, he has all... He's a bodybuilder, so he ordered he found one in the States and he had it shipped over. He's got an original Nautilus pullover, the same as Dorian's. He ordered all, he sat me and my training partner down and said, what do you think this gym needs? And he let me pick all the equipment and write a list, and he's just bought it all. It's phenomenal. He's got brand new Ivanko plates and dumbbells up to 200 pounds. He's got Arsenal Strength, Icarium, Precore, Hammer Strength, Cybex. He's got a couple of bits of Watson in there as well, but the bits that are good. And then he's just built a gym that is just perfect for bodybuilding, and it's so I'm taking full advantage of that as best I can.
Well, I'm going to get a list of the equipment that you think is good. Anyway,
it's like every brand has like. I feel the same with Hammer Strength. Hammer Strength leg equipment is shit, in my opinion. It's just really bad. Whereas the Cybex leg equipment's phenomenal.
Yeah. And
the Life stuff, and then. Like some of the Arsenal Strength, some of their leg equipment's phenomenal. Some of it's I don't like, and it's and it's the same with Precore. Like their leg press, I hate, but their hack squat's the best one I've ever used. So it's every company kind of has a handful of equipment that's amazing, and the rest of it, me personally, I don't get along with. So if some people love Watson, some people love the Hammer Strength leg press. I personally think they're shit.
I love the Arsenal Strength. Yeah. Hey, Let's go back to when you did get sick. What lessons did you learn from that, and what do you do differently now? Obviously, you're going to
it's just communication, really, because I wasn't aware how ill I was. I just thought I had a bit of food poisoning. It turns out I was hyperkalemic on top of having food poisoning, so my potassium levels were like Like, I think so the doctor told me between 8 and 9 is considered fatal, and mine was at like 13, I think, my potassium levels.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, I don't know how you're alive. And I didn't, I didn't convey any of this to Chris, and that's my own fault. I was just like, no, I'm fine. I even tried to do the prejudging, despite the fact I was vomiting backstage in a bucket. I still was like, no, I need to do the show because I'm a fucking idiot. So I just kept, but a lot of it's just communication and learning when to hold back and learning not to be a meathead, really. So, if you're it's like, how it is. Some guys have flu and they think, oh, I'll just go and train legs, I'll sweat it out. And then you end up feeling weak. And that's, it's just about not being a meathead and using your brain, really.
But in saying how sick you got better real quick, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Because, what it was just, I was so dehydrated. So what happened is my kidneys shut down. They were just like, yeah, sorry, we can't work anymore. You're so dehydrated, which made my potassium levels creep up. So what they did is they rehydrated me. They actually gave me more diuretics, which is funny, that pulled all the potassium out, pulled it down, and within 12 hours, all of my levels were back in range perfectly. They did an EKG on my heart. They gave me ultrasound on my kidneys to check for scarring. I had no kidney damage, and my heart was absolutely fine. Did my blood work a week later when I got back to the UK, and everything was fine. So I was really lucky. The fact that I'm young and healthy helped. But it was still scary, and it was essentially my fault. A lot of people blame the Aceto because I said publicly, I was working with Aceto, this is what happened. People thought that was me telling everyone it was Aceto's fault. And I was bitter about it afterwards. I think I didn't mean to blame him, but when you're pissed off to that level, you try and find the blame somewhere. And the more I've thought about it over the last few months, the more I've realized it's like, how would Chris know how bad it was unless I would have told him and I didn't tell him. So I have to hands up and kind of admit that it was my mistake, more so than his. But,
was Chris happy to take you back on after all of that little bit of a drama?
We were chatting the whole time afterwards. He apologized to me for what happened, and I said, look, Chris, I don't blame you. Like, it was just one of those things. It's like, I should have told you. He was like, yeah, I know, but I still should have recognized the signs. And he was great. There was never any like, I don't know. As soon as I said because I was thinking I'm going to work with somebody else because I lost a bit of faith in Chris, but then the more I started thinking about it, it's like, it wasn't even his fault, really. And I loved working with him. And I didn't want to let, like, 2 days of a really good relationship destroy the whole, relationship Chris and I had. So I just messaged him about 2 weeks before the Olympia, and I said, I'm planning on doing the Arnold. I feel great. Would you be willing to work together? And he was like, yep, sure. And then what happened was we started, actually around the time I signed with Redcon is when I started with Chris again. And then it came out, and then I think I made a post after the Olympia saying I'm working with Chris again. And then everyone took that. I was like, well, he's only gone back with Chris because of Sean Roden. And it wasn't the case. I'd already been speaking to him for like 2 months. And then Dave Palumbo got really fucked off with me on his radio show and called me out. And I was like, well, none of this is true. So I went on his show and tried to correct it. And it made everything worse. So,
what did Palumbo say? What did Palumbo say?
He was like, fuck that guy after everything he said about you, Chris. I can't believe he has the cheek to work with you. He's only doing it because you've now got Mr. Olympia under your belt. And, when I explained it to Dave what happened, he kind of retracted that. I was like, let's come on the show. You can tell your side of the story. And my goal was to I didn't want anyone blaming Chris. Because a lot of people misconstrue what you say. So if I say something like, I was sick, Chris had me using diuretics, which is normal in professional bodybuilding to use diuretics. It's not crazy. And I ended up in hospital. People will then take that and go, Chris nearly killed Luke. And that's what he said. And it's not actually what I said. I just said I nearly died, and at the time I was working with Chris. But I don't blame Chris. I do not blame Chris at all. But even if you did, yeah, but even if I did, I wouldn't. If I did blame him, I wouldn't be working with him, and he wouldn't be working with me.
Yeah, but at the same time, even if you did, you're man enough to admit that you made a mistake, and it wasn't your fault. At that time, even if you were at the spur of the moment, you were so emotional that almost fucking dying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
you look for the reasons why, and everyone knows around you that's in your life.
I think that's part of what happened. I think I must have said some things out of anger afterwards that probably made it sound like I was blaming Chris, and I do apologize to Chris for that. Like, I didn't mean for him to get thrown under the bus. I was just trying to be honest, and I'd always been told just be honest. So I tried to be as honest as I could, and people misconstrue that as me throwing Chris under the bus, and that was never my intention.
Well, Mark, Luke, I feel your pain, mate, because Mark prepped me once and he almost killed me, but I was convinced it's on purpose, and I've never forgiven him, and I still fucking hate him.
I tell you, if you want to know the story...
I do want to know the story.
If you want to know the story... Have you ever prepped a drug addict before? Because this is what... and Gally over here was by my side. You don't want to hear this fucking story.
The worst 2 weeks
can I just tell you, if your coach is telling you to take 15 milligrams of T3, you don't take 500.
There's at least half that.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about your off-season and how big you get in the off-season now. You talked about how big you used to get and you used to get a little bit out of shape. Has that changed now that you're you consider yourself a full-time pro and doing things differently?
Yeah, or? So this last off-season, I approached it a little bit differently. I thought, I've spoken to a lot of guys who just, and a lot of people said to me, like, you don't need more size, you just need what I have. What I have needs to be better. You know, like the whole maturity, the whole fucking refinement thing. I still don't even really know what that even means.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'm not going to push things in the off-season. I'm going to train for fun. I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. I'm not going to, push things, of the whole chemical side. I'm not going to push anything. Let my body be fresh. So when I start a prep, I'm fresh. And that's exactly what I did. I was eating pizza, 4 or 5 nights a week. Because I wanted it. And I was training really hard. I was only training 4 days a week. I got up to about 304 pounds, and I wasn't fat because my training was really good and I was relaxed and I wasn't forcing anything. My sleep was great, my appetite was good, and my condition wasn't bad at all. I actually put a picture on my Instagram about 297 after about 10 days of cleaning things up.
Yep.
And everything was great. And then because I think that's partly why I've been responding so well, because as soon as Chris said, right, let's knuckle down onto a diet now, as soon as I made every day the same, my body just responded like that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't so anal in the off season. Like in the past, I would power shove food to get my body weight up, and I did get sloppy. But the bigger I've gotten, the less fat I've gotten in the off season.
Yeah.
So, and it's really helped. I mean, I think I'm at the kind of muscle mass now where it's quite difficult to me to get fat.
Yeah.
Especially with the train. So and I think that's why I probably got fat when I was younger. I just didn't have the muscle mass. I wasn't assimilating the processed nutrients the way that I do now.
Tell us a little bit about your diet now throughout prep, because you mentioned that you're eating burgers tomorrow, and I know there's a lot of amateurs in this country that are going to listen to this and they're prepping for a show in the upcoming weeks, and they're going to probably eat fucking burgers tomorrow because they think they're allowed to. But explain to people the philosophy behind your diet and how strict it is on certain days in comparison to days where you are allowed to refeed on a little bit of shit.
Well, okay, so this is something that's really been confusing people. Is I have 2 really big cookies before I train every day. They've been in there every day. I have 75 grams of carbs from cookies every day. And when I started the prep, I had Chris put these 2 cookies in. He's just left them in there. So before I train, I have about 250 grams of carbs in my pre-workout meal. And then the rest of my meals are almost... My first meal was 100 grams of carbs from bagels and egg whites. Not carbs from egg whites, but I have bagels, egg whites. And I have 40 grams of almond butter in my breakfast. My second meal is my pre-workout meal, which is 10 ounces of chicken, 75 grams of carbs from rice, and the 2 cookies. And then I have cereal and whey after I train. And then the rest of my meals are just protein on their own. And it's...
just protein and veg?
Just protein and veg. In fact, this prep I haven't eaten any vegetables at all.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why is because every time I eat vegetables, I feel everything slows down and my stomach gets a bit shit.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn how to do this vacuum better. And if my stomach, it slows everything down. So I've been relying on the Redcon GI juice for my greens. And I have greens powder as well. So I've been relying on that. And my digestion's been amazing since getting rid of the vegetables. And my body weight is just hasn't come down that much. I was hovering around 270 for ages, and now I've dropped, since I've been in Boca for Redcon, I've dropped 8 or 9 pounds this week. So Chris saw my pictures and he was like, "You're going flat. This is your diet for the next 2 days." And basically I'm in a calorie deficit, and Chris is making sure he's giving me enough food so I can still train as if I'm off season and recover while still in a deficit.
Are you training twice a day, 2 weight sessions a day?
Just once a day. I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio on the Stairmaster in the morning, and then I'm training in the afternoon. That's it.
That's it.
And
wow.
he's just, it's hard to describe because the diet's been incredibly easy to follow because I'm eating quite well. And he just makes tweaks based on what he sees. So if my weight's not dropping or I'm not getting leaner, he'll make a change. If my weight's dropping and I'm looking leaner, he'll just leave things alone. And I send him pictures almost every day now.
Do you know what your calorie intake is now at the moment?
I would have to sit down and work it out. He normally just WhatsApps it to me.
Yeah.
Loads of
yeah. So he doesn't even let you know in his diets. They're pretty simple. Because isn't Sam Pierce working with the CETO?
He has like Chris has no idea what my calories are. If you ask him, but I don't know. Chris will just say, "I know what you look." Chris will just say, "I know what you look like eating that diet." That's all he cares about. This is what you're eating every day. This is what you look like, and he just adjusts the diet based on what I look like. So he breaks things down to the most simple. I can't even tell you how simple Chris is.
That sends a message out there to all the coaches that overcomplicate things. Hey, like looking at the science and the bullshit behind it.
Everyone is so. The only time I ever hear Chris get pissed off is when you talk about training. Like, he hates fluffy bullshit, shit training. He always tells you, he's like, train like a Brit. That's what he always says to me. And then when I sent him the pictures on Monday morning, I was supposed to train quads, and he said, "Oh, your legs are looking a bit overtrained." He said, "I want you to train like Paul Dillette today. You're not British today. Train like Paul Dillette." I was like, and he was like, "Train about 70%." And I don't know what the fuck 70% is. I'm good at 0 or 100.
Yeah.
So I just did the same weight I normally do. I just did less load. And then, I did the same weight. I just didn't go to all-out failure. I did no drop sets, no high volume. I cut my volume down a little bit. The next day, my legs look way better. And he just sees things. He'll just say like, "Oh, you're looking a bit this. Let's reduce this today." Or say, have a little bit of extra, have an extra 40 grams of carbs post training. Send me pictures tomorrow. And then if I look better, he'll do the same again today. Pictures tomorrow. Yeah. And it's really he just goes on what my body and what my pictures tell him, and he makes an adjustment.
How often are you in contact with him? Is it on a daily basis or is it every
day? Yeah. Messaged me before I came on this. He's just saying, "How did your session go?" I was like, "Yeah, really good." He's like, "Okay, pictures tomorrow." And then he's been phenomenal. I mean, he makes you feel like you're his only client. That's how everyone I know that works with Chris, they all say the same. He's just replies like that. You know, he's great, and it's so simple because I just WhatsApp him my pictures, and he'll say, "That's the best you've been. Send me pictures tomorrow." Or he'll say, "What are you training tomorrow?" Blah, blah, quads. I'll be like, "Okay, I'll email you later," and then he'll send me my diet for the following day. And they'll say pictures the following day. I want to see how you look from that diet. And then he's that's all he does. He pushes you until the point you need to be pulled back. He'll pull you back, then he'll push you again.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how simple things are.
You've touched on your training philosophy a bit, talking about how you're one of those guys that lifts heavy all the time. Talk to us a little bit more about your training, volume, drop sets, whether or not you incorporate that type of stuff, and whether or not that changes towards the end of your prep, or do you train to grow right until the last day before you hop on show?
I train in contest prep. I kind of train more based on how I feel. So if I feel really shit, I will hold back a little bit. And there's a difference between being tired and feeling off. If I'm tired, I'll still train to the best I can. If things feel off, like my shoulder feels shit, I won't push the same weight. And that's just more for injury prevention, because everyone knows you're one injury away from ending your career.
Yeah.
So pre-contest, I still, for the most part, train like I'm off-season. Like I just did a back training video. We filmed it about 40 minutes ago. I still did barbell rows with 5 plates, and I'm half weeks out. When I did, I trained with Joe Bennett, the hypertrophy coach this week. Still did 4 plates on the incline. Trained legs on Monday. Still did 10 plates aside on the hack squat. I still train like I'm off-season because that's the way that Chris has set the diet up. I feel good enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's one Chris says. It's like, it doesn't matter how shit I feel the rest of the time. When I'm in the gym, that's when I need to feel my best. If I can feel good for 2 hours out of the day, It's when I'm in the gym.
Yeah, yeah, and and that's what a lot of people can take from this too. You wouldn't be eating the food and the calorie intake that you're eating if your energy expenditure at the gym wasn't so high. You'd be burning fucking a shit ton of calories lifting.
This is why this is what I always tell people. So I work with a lot of people myself, and in contest prep, it's about being in a calorie deficit, and it's also about managing your energy balance as well. But what I mean by that is the same as what Chris does. You have to make sure you are fueled for your training session. If you can train really hard, then it will have repercussions. Like metabolically, you'll improve. You know, your nutrient partitioning will be better. You're going to be burning more calories. If you feel like shit in the gym and you can't train hard, then you're just going to your contest prep is just going to slow down. It's going to lose momentum. So I always stress to people: make sure you are able to train as best you can for as long as you can during prep. Yes, there's going to be some times where you just feel like death, which is fine. But if you can try and make sure that your training is the best it can be for as close to the show as you can get it, that's what's going to help your physique. That's what's going to keep that density. That's what's going to keep you full. That's what's going to keep your metabolism from slowing down. That's what's going to just propel everything forward.
Yeah.
But we are bodybuilders, and it's like, if you're training shit, you're doing your prep wrong.
Yeah, yeah. What do you do in your spare time? We spoke about how you enjoy your comic books and all of that, but to keep your cortisol levels down in your spare time, do you rest most of the day, or do you keep yourself busy and keep yourself active and make sure you're always on your feet?
I have a couple of businesses. So I've got one that's so I've just started a business about 5-6 weeks ago. It's called brutalmuscleonline.com.
Yeah. And
basically, shameless plug. And what it is, it's an online bodybuilding magazine and Netflix for bodybuilding, basically. So what we're doing is we commission as many good pros as we can. We pay them, we pay the videographer, and they upload video to the site. And it's a paid membership site. So what the idea we had was, remember when MD and Flex were good magazines, and they were about $10, $12, whatever they were, and they would you'd have all your forums, you'd have your the chemical, all the drug pages, you'd have your Q&A with the pros, you'd have the open forums to discuss whatever you wanted to discuss with people, you'd have all the video content, we have all of that, and we're trying to get as many of the top pros as we can. So this month, we've actually got Josh Lenato, is supposed to be doing a leg training video for us, I think next week. We've got Chris Bumstead and Ian Valier, Evan Santapani, Guy Ciccinino is doing something for us, we've got Fuad Abiad doing something for us, Vincenzo Massoni just uploaded a video, he just submitted it yesterday, so that'll be up on Saturday. Hunter Labrada, Dusty Hanshaw's this month, and we're just trying to reach out to as many people as possible. So any money that the site generates from the memberships, we're trying to put that back into the site, and because I'm sick and tired of hearing people say, "Oh, bodybuilding's dying." It's not, but just no one's doing anything about it. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to have something that bodybuilders can go on that has everything they want in one area. And that's what keeps a lot of my time at the moment. I'm constantly doing emails. I'm on my computer all the time. And I find it really kind of therapeutic knowing I have something that I've created with my business partners and I'm in control of it and I can do something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's still bodybuilding related. So that's been really fun doing that. And it's starting to take off. I think we've been open for 5 weeks. We're hovering around 300 members after 5 weeks. And that was over the Christmas period. So that's pretty good. I mean, within 5 years, we want 10,000 members.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
And we want to be the #1 hardcore bodybuilding site in the world, and that's how.
Do you give them what you want from them in the videos, or do you just say do what you usually do?
I just speak to them. I normally speak to them on the phone beforehand and say, "What are you comfortable doing?" And we just talk about it. And like Josh, I said, I would love to see Josh train legs. I'd like to see kind of what he eats in a day. So yeah, we can do that. So he'll film it. The videographer will send us the footage. We'll edit it, post it up. And it's like Evan's going to be doing some cooking videos. I actually told Evan, I said, I want him to train legs as well. Because he's had the quad injury. Nobody's really seen or heard from him for a long time. So I just want to see, where's Evan Santapani? What's he doing? What are his plans? Let's see it. So it depends on what they're comfortable doing. And I think, for the most part, bodybuilding fans, they just want to see their favorite bodybuilders and what makes them tick. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to see, like in a lot of sports, you'll get to know the person. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to know the people behind the physiques, and that's simply it.
Yeah.
So everyone can kind of do whatever they want to do as long as you get it on camera.
We should do a collaboration with Muscle Asylum. I think we'll work well together.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
We got 16,000 people on our page. That'll definitely hop on board with that.
It's like we just want it to be an old school bodybuilding, like a hub where it's just we want to have like a whole library of videos from all the pros. And in fact, next not this Saturday, the Saturday after, Sean Roden and Chris are coming to do a UK tour. And I'm filming a session with Sean Roden for the site.
Oh, that's unreal, yeah.
That's cool. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So, we and I'm prepping I'm doing all my contest prep log on there, and we've got Guy Cicinino, he's doing his comeback for the New York Pro. He's going to log all his prep on there. So it's it's just there's that thing that's missing in bodybuilding at the moment. There's a lot of like cool Facebook groups and things like that. They're great. I think they're fucking great. But they don't have the money to put content out. So we're charging a very small membership. If we have 1,000 members and we're getting, say, $4,000, we'd actually be getting about £6,000 a month from 1,000 members. I'm putting that money straight back into the site. I can start saying, I'll give you 500 quid to do a video. What pro is going to turn that down? None of them.
Yeah.
And then we can keep doing content, keep giving the fans the videos, keep giving them the content. We can start doing cool things. In fact, the NPC are going to be launching a league in the UK this year, and they've given us the media rights to every show, so we can interview all the athletes. We can do videos for the athletes who are doing the shows, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I honestly don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because I'm just making it up as I go along, but I know bodybuilding, and that's what I'm good at, so that's what I'm focusing on. I think it's going to be really cool to see it kind of grow.
Nah, it'll definitely gain a lot of traction just from this interview alone. We won't keep you too much longer. One question that I've been asking all the pros that come on this show leading up to the Arnolds, and we've had a fair few now. We even had Steve Orton on this week.
I love Steve. Steve's amazing.
He's a good guy. You're going to get along with guys like Sam Pearce, you've already competed against.
Yeah.
Josh, obviously. We've got Justin Wessels, who you probably haven't met yet, who's probably best ambassador for the sport. You've got Steve Orton.
Yeah.
Late scratch that's actually competing now is Nathan James Williamson. So you'll get along with him backstage. That was a joke. Mr.
Excited.
We won't pick on Nath too much. Yeah, I know you had a little bit to say about
I think he was just so endearing because he was like a kid in a candy store. We're all there to compete, and he's like, he'll just go up to Dennis Wolf and be like, "So Dennis, how do you train legs?" And I remember we were on stage, and he was like, "Go on, Ruli." And I was like, "Dude, shut the fuck up! Shh. Just, I know you're a fan, but just try and and that was quite. Like at the time, it was annoying, but looking back on it, I was like, "That's quite sweet, really. That's quite endearing." He was doing what I was thinking. Yeah. In my head, I was just sitting there like, "This is the coolest thing ever," and he was saying it out loud, and I thought that was quite funny.
I think you'll have a completely different attitude next time he competes. That was his first pro show. So.
Oh yeah. His first show was the Arnold, and a lot of like your favorite pros, like Kevin fucking Navroni was there.
Yeah.
I was dying to talk to the guy, but I thought this isn't the time or the place. And Nathan was like, fuck this, I'll ask everyone questions backstage.
We actually did the last ever interview with Kevin Lavroni, so we're pretty happy about that.
That's cool.
Backstage, yeah. But the question I was going to ask is all right, you're obviously, you don't go into a show, you actually got a little bit of a different attitude in comparison to everyone else because you've come in with a more realistic mindset saying that I can't beat Rolly and I can't beat William. Where everyone else is basically coming in saying, I'm prepping to win this show, which I'm sure you've still got that mentality in the back of your head. You're doing your best to win the show. What's going to put Luke Sandoe in first place, basically? What is it about your physique? Welcome back, Jimmy. Jimmy just logged off. This is what, I don't know if you have to deal with many lebs, and here he is, smiling.
Well, battery fucking guy.
Oh, whatever.
It's only 2019.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Yeah, no, because there's no such thing as like plugging in your phone to a charger or something while you're actually recording. What's gonna make Luke Sandoe win this show?
Condition.
Okay.
I mean, the reason I don't like saying things publicly is because it can be misconstrued as arrogance a lot of the time.
Be arrogant. It's all right. We're Aussies. We're like Americans don't understand sarcasm. That's a problem with Americans.
In my own head, like, so when I've had a couple of people, like Sergio Oliva said in an interview recently that he thinks I can be Mr. Olympia. Jay Cutler said the same to me. He said, like, you can be Mr. Olympia one day. And then that's never come into my head before. But then the more I've been doing this contest prep and I'm seeing things that are happening to my physique, I'm like, well, in 5 years, if I keep improving at this rate, and I finally figure out how to get like crispy shredded, I don't know. Maybe I can be one of the best in the world. I don't know. So because everyone always says to me, like, you have every body part, you don't have anything missing, which I don't agree with, but this is what other people will tell me. And it's like, you just need to be shredded because I'll look bigger, and everything will kind of like when people are really in condition, they can be quite a shitty. But like, look at Naba. Like, there's so many guys in there that have dreadful physiques, but they look fucking unreal because the condition's so good.
Yeah.
So if I can emulate that level of condition, who knows what I can do at this show? I might come in looking peeled and win the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, I have a pretty good structure. I don't have many weaknesses, and I have the size. So if that missing element is condition, I want to wait. I don't want to make any predictions until I've nailed that condition, then see how I stack up against these other guys.
Yeah.
But my belief, I mean, the only reason I don't think I can beat Rulli and William, a lot of that, even if I did beat them, they're not going to give me the win because they're William and Rulli, and that's fine. That's the way it is, and that's fine. But I do think one day I will win the Arnold Classic, and I think I could potentially win the Olympia one day if I keep progressing the way I am. Because I think I have a level of density that's missing. I think there's maybe 4 or 5 guys that have the level of density, Josh being one of them. There's a lot of guys at the moment who people are saying he could be the next Mr. Olympia. Like, people say the same about Diasha, like, oh, he could be the next Mr. Olympia. He's missing an awful lot of body parts.
Yeah.
And that's the luxury I don't have. My concern is condition, and that's in my control. So if I can nail that, maybe I can win. Yeah. I don't know.
You remind me a lot of. I remember when Rolly did his debut here in Australia many years ago, and he placed third, and everyone was like, "Wow, that guy's really good," and he was so happy that he placed third. He placed top 3. He was the happiest person on the planet. Yeah. But you on stage last year at the Arnold Classic Australia reminded me a lot of Rolly. Because look at where Rolly is now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you. This was you last year. In 5 years from now, 100%. And you're up there with one of the guys that I think everyone puts in their list of future Mr. Olympias, along with Josh and Diasha. Yeah, definitely. So it'll be exciting.
I mean, Josh. Out of all the pros at the moment, Josh is probably my favorite pro.
Yeah.
Because
just physique wise, or
just because of like. I just love everything about Josh. He's a cool guy, and he trains like an animal, and he's not afraid to put some steel on the bar.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking sick of bodybuilders like doing shit in the gym. Like, I don't want to. If I want to watch real training, I want to see guys like Josh who have earned their muscle, and it looks different. It's like that's what Aaron was saying about me and Dallas. Is like I have good genetics, but I have to work for what I have. I'm not just, it's in Sean Roden, as phenomenal as he is, he's pretty uninspiring. I mean, I look at Sean Roden and I don't get an inkling of inspiration from that man whatsoever. As great as he is, I just don't look at him and think, oh yeah, I could do that. It's like the guy trains like shit, and look at the size of his legs, and he just does the shittest shit on his legs. I'm like, how do you look like that when you train like that? And it's uninspiring, and that's the opposite of what Josh is. Like when you see him squatting like 7-8 plates or doing the lunges with 3 plates in the car park, it's just like that's what gets me going, and that's missing in bodybuilding at the moment. And I think that's why some people are starting to like follow me or like me is because I'm the same with Josh. Is we're normal people, but what we have earned, and we are showing people how we earned our physiques. I have earned my muscle by training the way I do.
Yeah,
and it kind of shows people like you can be better. You just need to stop doing all this shit in the gym. You just need to actually pull your finger out your ass and work harder, and you can get better.
You're old school. I think that's what everyone appreciates.
That's exactly what Dallas, that's exactly what Dallas did. Do you remember when Dallas put all that muscle on in 1 year?
Yeah.
Remember that? He just blew up. And I was working with Jansen at the time. I worked with him for about 6 months because of Dallas. And he was like, it's honestly the training. Like, it's not drugs. It's honestly not. He was like, Jansen was like, that's not the changes. The changes is the way he trained. And he very quickly became one of the strongest bodybuilders in the world. And look what happened to his physique. It blew up. Because he put the time under the bar. Yeah. And that's something so when I have a bodybuilder that I aspire to who's my favorite physiques, that's what I want to see. And that's why I love Josh so much, and that's why I like Steve so much as well. Not only are they cool guys, but look at Steve, the way he squats.
Yeah.
Recently of him squatting 7 plates like it was fresh air. So what the fuck? And the look at his legs. Yeah. And that's when I see people bring up a body part, and then you see it, like if I say Dorian's back's phenomenal, and then you look at the way you train, you look at the way he trains, and you say, well, if I can do that, I can train that hard. It's all up here. So maybe I can get back somewhere closer to that. Yeah. Just by emulating what the greats do, and the clues are in the success around you. So like, if you train, most people that train like Sean Roden will not look like Sean Roden. But if you try and train a bit more like Dorian or Ronnie or Mike Francois or Josh, you're going to get a hell of a lot further. And if you have good genetics, which I'm very, very fortunate to have, that's what's going to take you up the ladder. Yeah. And it's all about training. And I think training has kind of been swept under the rug a little bit in the last few years. And I think it's about time that the pros started actually being a bit more proud about the way they train and showing everyone around us, like, this is the way, this is how it's done.
Your website's going to do that too. Like, that's the type of thing. Like, with this YouTube channel, we want to get a lot of content, but it's the training in the gym, and a lot of people are just like trying to reinvent the wheel with dieting, with contest prep, and with training, talking about all different methods, and they're basically avoiding the hard work.
Absolutely. I mean, if you ever look in a magazine, when you see like Dorian Yates' back session in a magazine, you're like, oh, that looks easy, I can do that. And then you see it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's the like, because you can see Dorian's diet, and you're like, oh, I can eat that. But when you see his training written down versus him doing it, it's the application and the execution of these guys, the way they train, that makes them who they are. Like, the best bodybuilders of all time all train the hardest. Yeah. And that's something that I'm trying to bring back.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty. We won't. Is that Aaron?
No, it's Eduardo. He's stealing Aaron's food out of the fridge.
We won't keep it too much longer. Boys, have you got any more questions before we wrap up?
Luke,
you answered everything. It was good.
I got one for Luke. Rumor has it, mate, that you are a black belt in karate.
That's not a real rumor, surely.
All right, can I just say something?
Did you stitch me up?
I'll stitch him up. Jimmy normally comes unprepared with questions when we have a guest on, so
I wish
No, but I only remembered to ask that question because Mark said, make sure you ask it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I thought I was going to pop some shit for forgetting you guys.
No, look, if he asked it properly, he was supposed to say, is it true that you were the quickest person in your class to get your black belt? But there we go.
Yeah. Well,
We'd be a big fucking black belt.
I tell you what I did learn today. I'm pretty good with a gun. I went to a gun range today. I've never held a gun in my life. Pretty fucking good. All that watching John Wick has done me some good.
Yeah, look, I reckon
a bit of a sharp shooter. Let's put it that way.
Walking around in the States, you probably want to be holding one onto you at all times anyway. So.
Oh mate, we went to you guys don't have guns either, do you?
No.
You don't have guns?
No, they're all right. So, yeah.
So we went into a shop early. You know when you go into like a sport shop, there's cricket bats and baseball bats and fucking... It's that, but shotguns everywhere and pistols everywhere, and you can just get them out and be, oh, this is cool. Yeah. And it's fucking weird here, like how everyone's like... So all the tier operators downstairs, we were like... I just said, oh, do you guys have guns? He was like, yeah, we've got guns. And they just go to their car and get a pistol out of their car. This place is fucking mental here. Like,
and they're trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out why they've got so many shootings in America, and they just can't. They can't figure it out.
But like, when we went to the gun range earlier, there was like no security. There was like I didn't have to bring any ID, and I fired a fucking anti-aircraft assault rifle. Here you go, mate. Have a go on this. And it's like I could have just turned around and killed everyone, and they wouldn't know who I was because I didn't give them any of my ID.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, this place. Yeah. So, but it's funny.
But yeah, you don't look inconspicuous at all. Like you just you just look like
you blend in.
Yeah, you blend in. So 100%. Look, mate, we'll leave it there. That's a lot of good content. On behalf of Australia, look, mate, we're going to wish you all the best for the remaining weeks of your prep. I can't wait to see you on stage in Columbus and back here in Australia.
I can't wait to come back to Australia. I mean, Tony really knows how to put on a show, and he really knows how to look after people. So I'm really excited to come back. And I'm going to bring T-shirts this time.
Make sure you bring T-shirts for your mate. Me and Gally will actually be doing the interviews at Doherty's gym prior to the show. We won't be backstage this year. We're going to be doing it prior to the show because we don't want to not upset anyone, but we better leave you to your pumping up and not distract anyone. But we'll make sure we
bring Nathan. He'll do it.
I will 100%. I will 100%. This is a promise. I will bring Nathan with us to interview you.
I hope he doesn't think I don't like him because I really like him. He's great. I just think it's funny. So,
I'll make sure I tag him in this too when we put this up. I'll definitely tag him.
I know what's going to happen now. I'm going to see him in Australia and he's just going to be like...
Nah, he'll be I can guarantee you he'll be too much of a fanboy to snob you. Yeah. Nah, he's all right. He means well. Look, mate, good luck. And look, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and speak to your Aussie fans. Yeah, legend. Cool. All right, guys, thanks for listening. If you do listen to this again, make sure you, well, not listen, but if you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like and share and give our bodybuilders as much publicity as they deserve, especially leading up to the Arnold Classic. This is what we're trying to achieve here.
Tag me and I'll share it on all my socials as well.
Mate, I'll definitely be doing that. All right, thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch us all next time. See you later.